Hello and welcome to a very rainy morning in the garden. I want to tackle this shady corner that you may have seen in previous videos. And I actually got excited when I saw the rain today because it means that the soil will be lovely and moist and easier to work with. But before I start digging up the shady water, you know what I need to do? We need to go to the garden centre. What better way to spend a rainy morning than going to visit the garden centre? I'm heading out to Ratoath Garden Centre because I visited it around about early summertime. They had loads of plants. However, they have a beautiful garden just behind the actual garden centre. You can walk through it and they have this lovely garden walk. And I wanted to get some inspiration. Something that I lack in the garden is shrubs and evergreen, and that transition from when your summer plants kind of change and then they go into that early autumn, mid-autumn, winter. Something I am lacking is a little bit of evergreen, a little bit of something. So I wanted to see what was growing in their garden. Now, what I love about their garden is, and you don't see, so if you have been going to the flower shows this year, you'll notice that a lot of the gardens, they're brand new, they're set up for that weekend, for the show. But it's really nice to visit a garden that you can see has maturity. So there's beautiful mature trees here. A lot of the shrubs you can see are full grown. And I feel like that just isn't captured with show gardens. So while they are pretty and nice to look at during the summertime, I feel like it's nice to get out and see, gardens, whether it's, walled garden, a little garden next to a garden centre, whatever's local to you. It's nice to see something that has, a little bit of maturity. I feel like that's something my garden lacks, aside from my borrowed landscape. So the trees the other side, they're mature, but a lot of the plants that are in my garden, they're quite young. So I feel like I'm lacking that in the garden, but that is something that only time can give me. Okay, it is, I think the rain might be easing off a little bit. Also, I'm conscious of the microphone picking up noise from my raincoat, so apologies. I do have a little plant haul, not too bad. I'll show you what I got. I'm after buying everything in trees to do nice healthy clumps of plants in this area. So I did already have ones and twos of things, so I just bought extras to bulk them up to 3. So the first thing I'm after getting, because I want to add a bit of evergreen and a bit of flower, and my neighbour has one of these in their garden and it's beautiful. So I'm after getting this Viburnum Tinnis Lisa Rose. So I'm gonna bring up, let me just show you, that's the label on it there. So a viburnum, but this is one that has lovely kind of red, I don't know if you can see that there. I think this is just gonna, it looks a bit like a skimmia, but it'll have like little pink flowers on it. So I got this to go in to, I don't think you can see me on camera. Yeah, you can see me. This is going to go here. yeah, so it's going to give me a nice bit of green colour, a bit of flower. And now that the trees have been cut, oh yeah, actually I meant to tell you that since the last video, it was like 2-3 weeks ago, where I was doing the shady corner where I was tidying it up, and I was saying that the trees needed to be trimmed. I didn't think they would be done so quickly, but basically all of the trees were coming over and they were getting close to touching my roof, so I was afraid of like damage, especially in storm season. The trees have been trimmed, so this shady corner that was really shady is now semi-shade. So obviously with the light changing now coming into winter, I've just been observing the lighting the past kind of since they've done it, and this has way more light now, and it's also going to allow the rain. It's been raining all day. This has been getting quite dry because obviously the trees were grown over, they were blocking a lot of the rain coming down. So this is now not as dry because I was looking for plants for dry shade, whereas now I have semi-shade and it's a bit more moist than what I would have been the past couple of years. So yeah, they just trimmed the branches. I'll get a shot of the branches that were trimmed, and it means I can grow more now. So it's still a shady spot, but not as bad. It's not like deep dark shade like it was. So I'm really delighted about that. And also I just asked the council to trim them because they're not private trees, so they don't belong to a private residence. The council look after that area, and they trimmed them for me, and they listened because I was afraid that they would cut down the whole tree. And I said in the email, please don't cut down the tree, I really like them and I get lots of nature, and yeah, just trim the branches that are touching the house. And they listened and they did. So back to the planting. Okay, back to my little plant haul. I'm after getting 3 anemones and elfin swan. So one of them has some flower buds on it. I've seen loads of these anemones in people's garden that are all in flower. Maybe they might flower in October, but I got ones that don't have much flower on them because, to be honest, I just want the roots to kind of settle now when we're coming into October. So I got 3 of them. Then I got, I got 2 of these Helleborus because I have a 3rd one that's already in a pot from last winter. This is Winterbells, and the other one that I have, they kind of grow quite tall compared to, I have another one and it's only like 30 centimeters. This one has a bit of a taller flower on it. Helleborus, great in shade, semi-shade, and they flower for ages. And I just think when I come out my door in winter, I'll have a bit of colour from the viburnum, and then I'll have some foliage and flower from the hellebore, and I've already got some heuchera in here as well. So I got 2 of them because I do have a 3rd one. This poor brunner looks a bit miserable considering it was in a garden centre. I already have 2 of these waiting to be planted, so I'm going to do a clump of brunner Jack Frost because hostas, the slugs, I've given up growing hostas a long time ago, but my alternative, and the slugs don't seem to eat it, is Brunner Jack Frost, and I have a clump of this in the back garden underneath the tree. Love it. Lovely blue flowers in April, May time. They look like bluebells, but lovely foliage on it. So I have a clump of 3 of them. So for further up the little border where there's even more sun, I just got some sneezeweed, and I have this at the back and I love it. So I got Helenium, short and sassy. I got 3 of them for a bit of colour, but I also got 3 of this taller one because again I have it at the back. So I'm going to do a clump with the 3 short ones in front and this taller one. This is Helenium red shades, and this grows taller, so this will give me a bit of height and I can put that at the back. That's all I got. Like, that's not too bad. I do have, I got a free tree fern. I think the rain is coming back, so I may have to move my camera, but really quickly before I go, I got a free tree fern. I was out walking and I went into the walled garden on Saturday, and I just got chatting to the guy who works there. He works for the council, and he's a horticulturist, and he designs all of the lovely displays that you see in the public spaces. And anyway, I started saying about, like, I asked him if he covered his tree ferns just to see, because obviously, like, with the winters being a bit mild. Anyway, I was just talking plants, and I was saying I was doing a little shady corner, and he's like, do you want a tree fern? And I was like, absolutely. So Dixonia Antarctica. Obviously I have to take off all of the dead foliage. I'm going to stand back. So it's this size, which there's some nice foliage on top. It's not that small, but you can see, obviously compared to like tree ferns are crazy expensive. Like, you could spend up to 1,000 on one that's probably like just the height of me. I'm only 5 foot. Like, a tree fern the size of me is a couple of hundred, if not 1,000. But you can see the little furry crown. You can see it there. So yeah, I imagine this might take a good 10 years or more to get tall. But you know what? I planted a tree 10 years ago, and like, it's still quite small. I actually need to prune it, the little cherry blossom one in the front, and you don't feel the time going. Like, I probably sound like an old lady saying that, but you actually don't feel the time going. So there is the little fluffy tree fern there. So I'm going to put that in my shady border. Might put a bit further up. I'm going to keep the viburnum in that corner and put the tree fern next to the mirror. So yeah, I was delighted. I was like, see, plant people are lovely. He was saying that this was left over from a bloom display from like 2 years ago. Still in the pot. So it's going to have a little home now. It's left its plant nursery and it's got a home. And then I just have here these are 2 runners that I bought, I'm going to say June or July, and they're still not planted, but I'm going to plant them all up. I did know that I wanted to put these in the kind of shady corner, but I'm only getting around to doing it now, so that's why I bought a 3rd one, because I want to do a nice clump of them. And you would have seen in the footage from that garden that I filmed that they had lovely big clumps of one particular plant. It wasn't like loads of ones mixed in together. And I think, yeah, I remember before someone, or it was actually Carol Marks from Board BA, saying when we were doing a collab, she was like planting 3s, 6s and 9s, odd numbers. So yeah, that's like a little horticulture rule, whereas before I would just plant 1s and 2s. But if you can afford to, or if you're growing from seed or taking cuttings, try and do a nice clump when you're planting, because you get, I don't know, more of an impact. So I'm going to make a cup of tea, wait for the rain to stop. I was so happy when I saw rain today, because I was like, yes, the soil is going to be lovely and moist, because obviously since the end of August it was quite dry. The end of summer, the soil was just drying up, but we've had a good bit of rain, which means it'll be easier for me to dig it and plant it. So yeah, I'm going to sort my life out, sort my plants out and get these planted. Okay, let's get the shovel out and let's get planting. I love planting this time of year because I'm a little bit of a lazy gardener. So when you plant around about autumn time, the soil is still warm from summer. Now it will be a bit drier, which you're going to see. You know what, when I watch Gardener's World and when I see Monty Don or any of the guys digging a hole, they make it look so effortless and they always have lovely soil. Well, not me. But anyway, autumn is a great time if you want to divide up any of your geraniums, any of your perennials, if you want to move things, because the soil is warm. The roots will settle in over winter. And if you're like me, I water everything in really well when I plant it. But then I kind of pray for a little bit of rain from Mother Nature just to give me a hand. So all throughout winter, they'll get a bit of water, a bit of rain. Then spring will come and hopefully we have a nice strong plant for next year. Some would argue that autumn is the beginning of the gardening year because you're planting your spring bulbs and it's a great time to plant. When I plant things now, I'm generally planting them for next year. So while what I plant will look nice, I am planting some hellebores. They are going to flower hopefully for me. But I am anticipating that these will look better next year. You will see that I'm using a lot of water. So even though we had a good bit of rain, which I was so happy for because I knew that the soil was drier from summer. My soil, especially in this border, come August time, I definitely have to water a bit more because it has dried up. However, we had some rain and I was delighted because I was like, yes, top layer of soil was nice and moist, but as I was digging down, it wasn't as damp and it was very free draining. Is that what they say? The horticulturists? I was just watering the deeper layer of soil before I put the plant in, just so the roots would kind of make their way down to find some water. And then I'm absolutely soaking them once they are planted, just to settle it all in, make sure there's no like trapped air and all of that good stuff. And what I'll do is I'll see what the rain is like for the next week, and then I'll give them a good soak if I feel like there hasn't been enough rain. It's important in the first year when you have any plant, whether it says it's drought tolerant or whatever, to water it in really well in the first year for the roots to establish, and then you can let it take a little bit of abuse. It's always good as well to give it a good soak versus a little sprinkle with a watering can, because that can encourage shallow roots. So if you just water the top of the soil, the roots will stay kind of at the top. So you want to get it nice and soaked and that water going deep down so that the roots will also grow downwards. I did my spring bulb order from Mr. Middleton. I got the catalogue. However, they haven't arrived yet. Some of the bulbs that I ordered were for pre-order. So I was like, ooh, these may be fancy ones. Now, I did get, can I remember? I ordered some snowdrops, I think, because I was thinking just a few snowdrops dotted in this area where the gaps are will be really nice in winter time. And I did order some cyclamen, some of the perennial cyclamen, and I'm going to dot that around where I have some gaps as well. As I was digging as well, I found some old daffodils. There is daffodils in this area, but more further up where the lighting is a bit better. But now that the trees have been trimmed, it's going to be interesting to see how all of the plants grow now that there's more, I suppose, there's more air circulating, there's more sunlight, and there's going to be more rainwater as well. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this border, how this little section of the border performs. The reason why I put the sneezeweed further up is because that's where the sun this time of year, that's where it kind of begins. So it's a sunnier spot from the midpoint of this border all the way up to the other little tree. Let me know in the comments section, have you had to redo a section in the garden, or have you been dividing up any plants for now that it's autumn, or are you putting the garden to bed? Are you done this time of year? Are you just like, do you know what, that's it, I'll see you in springtime? Let me know in the comments section what you've been getting up to in the garden and we can have the chats.
This is as good a day as any to start the rebuilding of life. The roads that lay open are many when the old one's gone under the knife. And I can feel the sun on my skin, tomorrow. This morning has a clearer light as any to see the horizon in the far. Excuses were 2 for a penny, but they've all gone out the window of this car. And when I feel the wind on my face, all that ever was is a race. Today and not tomorrow, there's no time to borrow. Today, well, something's gotta give. Today is a good day. Today and not tomorrow, there's no time to borrow. Today, well, something's gotta give. Today is a good day to
Okay, this is looking much better than what I did this morning. I've left some gaps because there's actually a geum seedling there. There is another geranium, the pink one. It seems to do really well out the back, but not as good in the front. I have the anemones here, so these will give lovely bit of flower and a bit of height. And I love anemones because you can see through the flowers, if that makes sense. Like, they won't block a sightline, if that makes sense. Then little fern. Oh, let's all just say a little prayer that the fern settles in, because if that settled and grew over the next 10 years, it would be absolutely beautiful. I made sure not to plant it too close to the wall, so it is out a bit from the wall, even though on camera it looks like it's right next, but I did make sure to plant it a bit more forward so there's a bit of breathing room at the back. I was wondering why the brunnera looked a bit different. Yeah, it's a different variety. That's Jack Frost, that's Jack Frost. This is silver something, so it has a white flower. So I thought I'll make sure I'll put it at the back so it'll be blue, blue and white. So that'll be a nice clump when it fills out. Now I do have some gaps in between where I put the Helleborus, so you can see that there's a good bit of gappage around here, and that's because I ordered some of these guys. So this is cyclamen, and I made sure to get the perennial one, which I think is hedrofolia, begins with H. I think there's 2 varieties of perennial one, but the one that's most common in the garden centre can just be an annual. So when I was placing my spring bulb order, I ordered some. So I'm going to dot them in wherever there's a tiny bit of gap. I'm hoping I'll have a nice bit of flower from the hellebore and the cyclamen throughout winter. There's a cyclamen grown up here called Winter Beauty. Then I'll have the foliage of heuchera and brunnera. I think the fern will keep its foliage. And yeah, this little corner will have something, and then as they all establish and the roots get settled in next year, this will look even better. But in springtime I'll have lovely blue flowers on this, and I'll also have the flowers on the hellebore because they flower right the way up. Early summer they still have flower heads on them. I think what I'm going to do is put some small snowdrop bulbs around here as well. So yeah, I am happy with this. I know it doesn't look amazing straight away, but I think it looks much better. If I go back, hang on. I think this little corner looks much better than what it did before I started.